If you've ever received a government fine and somehow got out of paying it, it appears your gig is up. A special government agency is targeting those unpaid bills, some dating back to the early 70s. It's an exercise that's angered dozens, and they've told Gavin Alder they'll never pay.
Behind him, I put my money in the meter, I walked off, I had my dental appointment, I came back. Next thing I know, I've got a ticket on the windscreen.
Stephen Stubbs got his parking fine 6 years ago, wrote to the council contesting it and thought he'd been let off.
I submitted the letter and they stated to me that if there was something that had to be done, it would be done. If I heard nothing from them, everything would be fine.
And so it was until last week, when he received notice that not only should he pay the fine, but an additional $108 in fees as well.
It's unbelievable. I just can't believe it.
In a similar state of disbelief is Bill Britton. His fines total $330 and date back to 1993.
I don't know who was driving the vehicle that day. It wasn't me.
The long arm of the law is extending even further, way back to when much of Brisbane was underwater.
There's no limit to when an old fine can still be recovered. For example, we came across through the Spur process a fine as old as 1974 for a drink driving offence ordered by the court.
Queensland Attorney-General Rod Welford says if you have an outstanding fine, the State Penalties Enforcement Registry will track you down, not just to penalise you, but help you as well.
Under the old system, if you didn't pay your fines, it ultimately resulted in a warrant being issued for your arrest and imprisonment. And the whole point of Spur is to help keep fine defaulters out of prison.
Meet one of the men responsible for Spur. As a bureaucrat in the Queensland Transport Department, Shane Bowering recommended the system. These days he runs his own business, the Red Tape Busters, helping people fight bureaucracy.
We've just got a client in Victoria off $2,000 worth of fines.
Shane says if you suspect you may have an outstanding fine, the best bet is to check, either with Spur or with the authority that issued the fine, because the more they have to chase you, the bigger the add-on fees become.
If it does go to Spur, there's an initial cost of $44 that's added on, and then if you don't pay it, after that initial notice is sent to you, there's a further $75 that's added.
Spur is currently chasing up almost 500,000 unpaid fines, and says Shane Bowering there'll be plenty more to come, because councils and other government agencies will wake up to the fact they can get their hands on money they thought they'd lost long ago. And that will leave more people like Stephen and Bill scratching their heads wondering why it's taken so long for the fines to find their way to them.
We haven't changed our address, we haven't changed our motor vehicle, we haven't lost our licences or anything like that. So why they haven't found me, or actually why they haven't found Gail, is beyond me. Why it's taken 6 years?
I haven't moved. My registration's the same, my licence is the same, my phone number's been the same.
Bill says the car involved in the infringements 10 years ago was owned by his business, but was probably driven by an employee.
And I don't see why I should have to pay for somebody else's fine.
And nor should he, says Shane. In fact, he says any fine from that long ago is open to be contested.
Well, the chances are good if they've got a reasonable defence, or if they can cast enough doubt on the fine.
In Bill's case, there's doubt over who was driving the car. Stephen's defence is different again.
As far as I was concerned, I obeyed the rules and the regulations of the road, and there was no signage there stating it was a bus zone.
Shane says he could prove that through a Freedom of Information request for council work records showing when the signs were erected, and for a copy of his letter disputing the original ticket. That might cost him $30, but will save him $140 if it proves his innocence. If it doesn't, then one function of Spur to keep fine defaulters out of jail won't work, because Stephen says he's not paying.
No way in the world. They can take me to jail, I don't care, but I will not pay a fine that I feel I was not entitled to.
That's one man determined to stand his